Locals and tourists alike basking in the sunshine of Helsinki, just an hour away from the racetrack here at Alastaro. We're going to be concentrating in the first part of the show on the Pro Stock races. The factory-backed hot rods running on petrol and approaching 200 miles an hour in round about the 7-second mark. Short wheelbase cars with those enormous smoky burnouts. And later, we'll be taking a look at the way things are shaping up in Top Fuel. Of course, this is round 2. This, the American Gordy Bonney we were looking at, he's out there ahead of the championship for the moment. Everybody enjoys the sight and sound of the Top Fuel cars. 290 plus miles per hour, burning round about 20 gallons of nitromethane down that quarter mile. Back to Pro Stock and a quick look inside the office of this man, Michael Malmgren. And he must feel he has to improve his performances. Certainly to do better than 98, but certainly to stamp his authority on 1999. Well, we go for a ride with Mike Malmgren. Watch for that left foot come off the clutch pedal. These cars launch with a clutch, and then watch him press buttons to change gear. Here we go, up to the line. Whoa, there's the launch. Second gear, third gear, fourth gear, heading for the finish line. Whoa, everything comes out, the power goes off, the parachute throws him into those straps. That was a little bit of the excitement of Pro Stock. This, the quarter-finals. Michael Malmgren, Paul Tammy Brander. Well, can Malmgren put it all into practice? Exactly what he was preaching. And indeed, the Panasonic man does just that. He's through to the semi-finals. And I'm sure the team are starting to have faith in him. You can see away from the start line, Malmgren actually had to drive round Brander, a slower reaction time, but that 7.12 second DT gives him the win fairly comfortably, I'm sure you'll agree. Our next race in the quarterfinals, two racers who had a very torrid time in 1998. Jakob Ferrer on the roof in Sweden, and in the opposite lane, Lina Nystrom back with Hot Wheels backing for that car. And let's just remind you of last year's episode at Santa Pod. Wow, Lina came out of that horrific crash virtually unscathed. We couldn't say the same for the car. Here she is in the first round of competition, racing Jakob Ferrer with the Firebird. Don't forget with Pro Stock, all down to reaction times, and look at Ferrer pulling away straight away. Everyone from Sweden very happy with that result, and you can see from the figures on the screen, Ferrer a perfect 0.49 reaction time and a 7.16 ET. Lina, well, a 52 isn't going to cut it in Pro Stock, I'm afraid.
It was all okay. The start was okay. It was a good 60 foot. I felt the car was with me all the time, and the track was pretty good, so I had to click the gears all the way through, and I didn't see her at all the way down. So, close case.
Close case indeed. All of this Pro Stock racing, as I'm joined by Russ in the commentary area, is so close and exciting.
Very close. The other thing I've noticed, Graham, is that the higher qualifiers all appear to be choosing the right lane, or the left lane as we actually look at the picture. It seems that that far lane doesn't seem to be so good as far as the traction is concerned. Again, obviously we'd expect Nicholas Anderson to win this particular race, but maybe that left lane isn't as prepared as well as it should be.
Well, very hot here in Finland, and of course the rubber on the track can cause a problem. You quite rightly say the high qualifiers are all choosing that right-hand lane as we look at it. Let's see if that bears out. Nicholas Anderson. He's the wolf so far, the man leading the championship, and taking on Kjetil Hauger. Well, Kjetil from Norway, of course. Again, an international matchup. Look to be Anderson away from the start line, and look at this once again. Once that right-hand lane takes the win. Well, you can see Anderson by the merest blink of an eye away from that start line, and an arrow straight run down the quarter mile. A 47 reaction, a 7.1 can't be beaten.
Yeah, it was a good race. The tire is spinning little in the start, so I don't know. Man, we win, I think so.
You think right, indeed. This our last matchup of the quarterfinals. Russ, any favourites?
Well, Nicholas Anderson will fear this man in the left lane as we look at it, the silver Pontiac of Tommy Liner from Finland. He didn't appear in the first round at Santapod, but he was very close to winning the championship last year, and in fact won here last year. So again, got to be looking at Tommy.
Well, Tommy Liner, you notice no sponsors on that car. He's got to be the rock that the Wolf fears. I'm sure of this. Here we go. Last minute stage on the green. Well, Tommy Liner, irrepressible, away from the start line. Jari Konala still has him in his sights, but nothing can stop that silver car.
And that's the thing about Tommy. He's so quick off the lights, and he uses such a lot of psychology to beat his opponents. It makes him a very tough man to beat.
Well, had to drive around Konala as well. Konala quicker off the line.
I was a little bit nervous because the track has been so tricky this weekend, and I was not sure about the car, how we had the setup, but it was fine. It was a little bit too soft, but I win it, so that's the main thing.
He's not wrong, is he? That's the main thing. Look at this for semi-finals. Nicholas Anderson and Tommy Liner, a repeat of 98. Mike Malmgren, Jakob Ferrer.
Well, the weather here in Finland is fantastic for us, but the temperature has become a bit of a problem for the track. The rubber on the track has actually started to melt, which has left quite a lot of work for the track crew to sort out. Let's go and take a look.
I'm down here on the start line at Alastaro in the baking heat, and that's what's been creating some of the problems today, because if you look down here, take a look, you can see some of the rubber that's built up on the track from the tyres of the dragsters. Now, the hotter that gets, it can actually start to move, which basically means the dragsters start to lose grip, the car can get tyre shake, the driver has to back off, and his race is over.
Let's remind ourselves of round one at Santapod. Alan Jackson thought he had the win in the bag. Something broke on the car. Gordy Bonin took it right on the finish line. And of course, a weekend to forget for reigning champion Barry Sheevels. Our first semi-final in Pro Stock. Who would you rather be? This man, Tommy Liner, nothing to prove, 3-0 up in races with Anderson, or would you prefer to be the car in the left-hand lane? Nicholas Anderson, he's got everything to prove with Tommy Liner. He hasn't ever beaten him in a race. And if we go back to the drama of 1998 here in Finland, well, Russ, you remember exactly what happened.
I remember it well. Neither guy would go into stage. The starter pulled them both out of their cars to tell them off and say, let's get serious, guys. But you can see there that Tommy is the master of psychology at the start. And even now, he pushed Nicholas Anderson into red lighting at the start, so Tommy had won it right at the start of the race.
And fair to say that Anderson blew it big time in that race. Opened up the championship. Well, all this is going to be on Nicholas's mind. He's a young guy, let's not forget that. I call him the Wolf. He's waiting there for somebody to slip up.
Again, Tommy Liner, the master at the start at out-psyching his opponents. Will he do it again today?
This is it then. High drama. Everyone wondering, and especially Anderson, will Tommy Liner go into stage? Well, look at this, the drama. Well, Anderson stages. Oh, look at that, the green as well. Tommy Liner lifts the front wheels, looks to be out the hole first. Difficult to separate the car, but it is Tommy Liner takes the win. Oh, who would have believed that?
Well, Tommy again did it at the lights. A faster reaction time there from Anderson. Again, Anderson feeling under pressure. Will he ever beat this man?
Oh, it must be looking like a brick wall for Nicholas Anderson.
Tommy, congratulations, you just won that race.
Yeah.
Talk me through it.
Well, it was very tough. I heard it around 7:12 here around 7:13. I don't know about the reaction time, but I think it was close. Oh, I'm happy. It's 4-0 now. I have met him 4 times and I have won 4 times, so I'm happy.
It's not going to get any easier for Anderson from this point onwards, but who's going to be rubbing his hands together? now is the opportunity for Panasonic man Michael Malmgren to steal a march on the leader.
Exactly. Michael should win this race. The form book would suggest that he should beat Ferrer. He's also in the fastest lane. It seems that this left lane, as we look at the track, or right lane as the racers look at it, is the quickest this weekend.
Well, of course, the drivers who ran the quickest run in the previous round get lane choice. So Mike Malmgren down here, Krista, the crew chief, will have been down and inspected that lane. He will have passed on the information to the boss. And of course, don't forget, Ferrer's crew will have been doing just the same. And he'll have every opportunity to make this an equal race. The cars are set up for the way they're going to race. But Michael Malmgren, don't forget, reaction time, reaction time, reaction time. That's all he's got to be thinking. Well, did he get the result? He looks to be chasing Ferrer at this point at the finish line. Well, I think Malmgren took that one, a 7.16. The ET's good. Let's wait and see how the reaction times went, and that's going to be a difference for Mike Malmgren. He's going to be a happy, smiley man this time. Looked to have Ferrer out the hole, but no! Had to do a driving job. In fact, Ferrer with the best reaction time of the round at 0.44, but Malmgren had to go round him to get to the finish line first.
We will give Tommy Lane a good fight here in the final round. We're very happy, and Niklas lost, so we're catching up some points here, so we're very, very happy.
Very happy indeed. Will there be changes in the leaderboard? The man leading the championship is out. The final, Malmgren and Liner.
Pro Stock cars are highly sophisticated and highly tuned. Here's a quick look around the Pro Stock pits.
We're not going to keep you waiting. A great racing prospect, the final of Pro Stock. Can Tommy Liner psych out Michael Malmgren? Here's Mr. Reaction Times back there. It's going to be close, Russ.
Two great personalities here, Graham. Michael, very cool, calm, collected, very professional, and Tommy, very aggressive, a young upstart, if you like. Michael in that road lane again, though, and Michael needing the points to close the gap on Anderson.
I've got to say, anybody racing Tommy Liner, they seem to feel the pressure.
Definitely.
Well, he's so cool, the wild card in the championships, if you like, unsponsored for 99, that's Silver Firebird. Michael Malmgren, of course, a big wad of cash behind him, factory back the car and Oldsmobile.
The other thing about Tommy is that he seems to get more power out of his motor than the other Pro Stock cars. In the past, sometimes Tommy is slower off the line, but allows a little bit more time just to power through at the end.
Well, before the race, let's have some thoughts from a man who knows the sport inside out, Mr. Keith Bartlett.
Going to be a very hard-fought race. Tommy Linen is like the local guy, great support from Finland, not running the championship this year, only doing selected races. Michael Malmgren is chasing all the points for the championship. They've got the track sorted. I think the win will go to Michael Malmgren and the Panasonic team.
Now watch out for a drama, I'd say, Graham, at the start. I know Tommy's going to try and out-psych Michael.
Well, Michael straight into stage, no messing about. Tommy Liner makes him wait. Into stage, the light, oh, red light! Michael Malmgren had to cut a good light to get round Tommy Liner. Liner takes the win. Wow.
Well, he did it again. Forced Michael into red lighting on the start.
And you can see that's by a country mile away from the start line. 0.15, that's not even close to the 0.40 that is perfection. But look at that, 7.1.
Well, usually have used that I'm first out from the Christmas tree, and I saw Michael. He was just flying over me, and I was, oh man, what happened now? I can't be so slow. And then I was shifting the third gear. Yeah, he red lighted.
Michael.
Yeah, I mean, it's obvious. I mean, I went in there, I figured, well, what the hell? I mean, we have the wrong lane, and I just picked a chance, and I took a chance, and I need a red light, so to prove that, I can be pretty fast, but obviously I was too fast, so that's it. I mean, we're happy.
Well, they say you're not trying if you don't get the odd red light. But look at this. Nicholas Anderson's still on top of the points. Mike Malmgren has stolen a march on him. Ferrer, Hauke and Liner further down.
Well done to Tommy Liner from Finland, and Michael Malmgren closes the gap in the championship. Now he'll be looking forward to the next round in Sweden because he won there last year. But in the show we now move on to Top Fuel, and all eyes will be on the American Goldie Bonin. In America, budgets run into the millions of dollars, and sometimes crowds can exceed 100,000.
Well, take a look at this. America, of course, is nirvana for the drag racing fan. Here in the UK, we can only dream of that kind of crowd size. 40-plus cars trying to qualify for Top Fuel, and the action hot all day long in Pro Stock Top Fuel, and of course funny car. But take a look at the number of heads that are watching the action out here in the States. And this is why we love drag racing. Non-stop action, 4-second times, and racing so close. From that world, US import, Goldie Bonin suited up for the final at Top Fuel to race Barry Sheevels.
We're ready for them now. Barry's a great guy. It's a great team. It's an honor to race him and those guys over there. And there was a big relief in the whole crew here when they got Barry's car on the track this morning. I'm looking forward to a great race.
Of course, Barry's been having problems getting gear selection with the Dragster.
I'm feeling a bit more confident than we did before. Obviously, it's a brand new car and encountered a lot of problems at Santapod trying to select reverse gear. Every time I do the burnout, the clutch locks up and I can't get any movement on the clutch to select reverse. So it's getting very frustrating, and the first couple of runs here in Alastaro were the same. But the guys have got it sorted out. They've been working very hard, and they've got to the problem, and we managed to do a burnout, get it in reverse, big cheer from the crowd, and everything's into stage and launched really hard. Best 60 foot we had with the other car was a 0.86, and that was exactly the same. So guys are working really hard to get the car ready for the final, and we'll be there.
Sets the scene for this final. North American import Goldie Bonin into this right-hand lane with the Prolong car, and all eyes on the wins Dragster or Barry Sheevels. I wonder how many fingers are crossed at this point, Russ.
Absolutely, Barry needs to win this one to try and get closer to Goldie in the series. But of course, this is why drag racing is the fastest form of motorsport in the world. These cars can do nearly 300 miles an hour, and of course in Europe that record is still to be broken.
Indeed, and the man looking for 300 miles an hour is, of course, Barry Sheevels. Would love to add that to the collection of trophies he accrued in 1998. Well, a real race in the final. This is going to be for changes in the leaderboard in Top Fuel, and Barry's chance to make an impact in round two.
Defending European champion Barry Sheevels has had a lot of problems this weekend. The team have not been able to get the car set up properly to the track. They've had transmission problems. On the other hand, Goldie Bonin from the United States visiting this track for the first time. They have got their car set up. They've run strong. As much as Barry needs to win this round of the championship, I think it's going to be Goldie Bonin that will take it today.
I think Runefjeld may have some objections to that reasoning. Here we go, on to the start line. High pressure time. Goldie Bonin moves forward. Look at that. Barry Sheevels overpowers the track. Did he have Goldie Bonin away from the start line? Well, the American takes the win. Look at that. Barry was away, then overpowered the track, and look at 47 reaction time. Indeed, had Goldie Bonin away from the start line. But poor old Barry makes no impression on the leaderboard whatever.
It's been real tough fun and entertaining to come over here and race the champion. And it's really tough to watch the struggle that he's had the first two races with his brand new hot rod. And I mean, I got the old hot rod that has won more races than any other race car in the world. Joe Amato's had that car twice, 2 world championships. Barry's won it once, and they put me in the old car, the hot rod, the nice Cadillac, and Barry's got his car will be bigger, better, and faster soon. But it's tough watching that happen. But on the other hand, for Prolong, it's damn wonderful.
Barry, what are your hopes for the rest of the season now?
Well, obviously, we're producing a lot of horsepower from that car, and I think the guys need to go away and just have a bit of a think where we're going to put that horsepower down. And the next race is at Sweden, Mantorp Park, and it's not the best track in the world, and I think we're probably going to overpower there, so they'll be working on taking some of the horsepower away from the car.
Gordy Bonin out ahead in the championship by just under 100 points, and Barry Sheevel's Al Jackson also tied on 37. Before we get into the racing, let's take a look at the leaderboard following round 1 at Santa Pod. Peter Beck for Switzerland out there ahead from Finland's Jarmo Roivas. Dave Wilson, Rob Turner, 3rd and 4th. Well, one of those guys, our number 1 qualifier here this weekend, Dave Wilson, with the Nemesis car. And, well, really pleased for the team. A lot of cooperation got into the blending of 2 separate top Methanol Dragster race teams, with Dave Wilson at the wheel of this car. And so far, Paul, this is proving very successful.
Absolutely, did so well at Santa Pod. Looking for big things for the British team this weekend.
Well, Dave flicks it off early, runs through with a nice easy 6.2. And that by run in round 1, of course, courtesy of being the number 1 qualifier, which is a great result. And still, as I say, runs a 6.2. Peter Schöffer for Germany. Our second race taking on this man, Eero Kilpeläinen. Well, about the only thing we know about Kilpeläinen is he's fairly new to the sport of top Methanol drag racing, but is running an ex-Tony Donges car. Schöffer we know all about.
And of course, Euro, very much dark horse and very reluctant to talk to us at Santa Pod, so we still don't know much about the man or the team.
Let's look very closely at the starting sequence here. This is where the drivers are under most pressure. Rolling the car forward so those front wheels break a photoelectric beam to light the pre-stage bulb. Then it's 8 inches further forward to light the stage bulbs, and the car is on the line, ready to race. The tree runs down, all the yellows together, then the green. 0.40, the perfect reaction time. Schöffer takes the win, but at one point there, Paul, it looked like Kilpeläinen was going to do it.
Absolutely, come the 8th, you can see just there passing the 8th mile markers. He got right up there, just a couple of wheels length away, and then the power goes away.
Peter, well done. Talk me through the race.
Okay, thank you. It's a problem for the gear and the link and the clutch. The 2 gears isn't correct.
Why? What happened?
Little look for the next run.
Well, this is going to be a goodie. The man leading the championship thus far, Jarmo Roivas, number 2 qualifier. He too has a bye run in round 1, and thus no one over in that left-hand lane. The right-hand lane seems to be the chosen one. Of course, the higher qualifier in a race has lane choice.
So what do we think then, Graham? Is he going to take this nice and easy, this bye run, save parts, or is he going to go for the lane choice in the next round?
Always the option, Paul. Who knows? If the qualifying runs, he feels, if Jarmo and team think they've got enough data to know how to win the race, then I would imagine they'll take it easy. This is the professional approach, to maybe power the car to half track and click it off early. If they don't feel they've got the data there, he'll run it all the way through. Well, gets the green light and goes for it. You can see by the way the tyres grow. He powered it hard over the first 8, and as we said, clicked it off at the 8th mile. Well, if ever you thought it was an easy job driving these cars, don't forget there's an awful lot of torque from that engine, trying to drag the car over to the right-hand side all the time, and a momentary lapse in concentration can spell disaster for the drivers. Well, this is going to be a goodie. This a race. Our number 5 qualifier, surprisingly, is Peter Beck burning out there for Switzerland, and he has Eskelinen. as his opponent.
You say surprise, I would say it's more of a shock, Graham.
Well, yeah,
after
staggered.
last year. Okay, so both drivers then coming back into the pre-stage area. These drivers have an awful lot to do, everything going through their mind as they come back in, starting to psych themselves up for that all-important part of the drag race as they come into pre-stage and stage.
But now is the point, Paul, where the crew stop cosseting the driver, if you like, and he's on his own in the cockpit. It's man and machine versus man and machine in the other lane. And as we keep saying, the psychology on the start line is so intense. Here we go at the green. Oh, Beck smokes the tyres. Is that going to be the end of his challenge? It looks like it. Escalinen goes through and takes the win. Major upset. A lot of engine damage for Peter Beck as well. What a horrible way for the championship leader to go out. You can see smoke the tyres away from the start line. Had a slower reaction time too. And then a lot of engine damage as Escalinen takes the win.
I have a very hard high shake and lift the throttle. That's the win. That's drag racing.
We have new engine and new combination, and it's really hard to get okay. And we get it so well that time was very good for a first run, but we broke the engine also. That's end of the race for us.
Well, obviously a disappointment at this time.
Yes, we win the run, but engine is broken. We can't continue anymore.
Well, don't be confused there. That's both cars in that race suffering engine damage. Dave Wilson and Peter Schofer in one side of the semi-final. Jarmo Roivas and Will Carey Escalinen make it for the other semi-final. Now we move on to the top Methanol funny cars. The leaderboard after round one, Michael Kagerad for Sweden on top of the pile. But he's not the first man out. This man, Leif Andreasson, the #1 qualifier here in Finland, is first out and with the burnout. And could it be #1 qualifier, a bye-run for that car.
Huge smoky burnouts for the funny cars. They managed to produce so much more smoke. And of course that smoke doesn't just go away from the car as the rails do, but stays inside the bodywork. You can see the crew there flapping all the smoke out.
Well, take a look at this in the office. With Leif Andreasson, you can see his left knee pumping on that clutch these cars need. Anyone would think he was having a barbecue in there. But no, that's not the case. The crewman gets rid of the majority of the smoke so that Leif has a chance of looking out of the car.
Well, there's still plenty of smoke in there, Graham, but he did do a long burnout, so it's a fair time before he gets back to the pre-stage area.
Well, chance for us to take a look at the pre-race procedure. You can see the crew chief is guiding the car back directly onto those hot, sticky rubber stripes that he laid down in the burnout. They look substantially narrower at this point, but don't forget, centrifugal force makes the tyres grow and they leave a smaller footprint. Well, you get a chance to look at one or two of the whistles and bells that are in there. The gear shifts are the two buttons you can see on that butterfly steering wheel. Here we go. Watch Leif's thumbs as they work the gear shifts as he moves forward into stage. The left knee will come up, allowing the clutch out, and away on the run he'll go. Well, 3-speed gearbox in these cars, and again, as we were saying with the Dragsters, doesn't need the data of a full run. Gets a 60-foot time and an 8th mile time, and cruises over the second half of the quarter through into the final. Well, this is going to be a race all Sweden. The man leading the championship with the Camaro, Michael Kagerad, and unusually a Saab body for this man, Leif Helander, the Star Cutter team, and he's all Viking, did you know?
And that comes through very much when you're chatting to him, of course, Graham. The whole team very much psyched up for this meeting.
Well, pointy hat with horns on syndrome for Leif Hollander. Couldn't be a greater contrast. Michael Kagerad is calm like an alarm frost. Off Top Methanol funny cars. This is the tense moment into pre-stage both cars. Hollander stages last and takes the lead. Look at this half track. Oh, I thought Hollander was going to do it. Kagerad powers through. The Camaro takes the win. But look here on the start line. Hollander, everything to play for, but in fact a red light. I thought he had Kagerad away from the start line. I didn't notice, did you, Paul?
No, it just looked like a great hole shot. What a shame.
I saw a red light.
Yeah.
But anyway, I got a good time. I had to shut off a little bit early because the car was a little bit strange. But the run was good.
Was there a tyre shake?
It was not tyre shake. I don't know what it is, but the car soon want to go to the left, and I click it off. I know I had won the run anyway, so I didn't take any chance.
Sets up our final for the Top Methanol funny cars. Leif Andreasen, Michael Kagerad. Top Methanol Dragster, the semi-finals. Dave Wilson, team nemesis. Peter Schofer from Germany. Jarmo Roivas and Kari Eskelinen. This is our first of those races. You got a favourite here, Paul?
Well, not on paper, but of course I'm going to have to say Wilson because he's British.
Well, the contrast in equipment these two are using couldn't be more distinct. Peter Schofer with those little front wheels on that Dragster in the left-hand lane. Small block Chevrolet. And ahead of him here as they reverse back after the burnouts, Dave Wilson with that enormous...
To the Dragsters now.
Well, this is it for Dave Wilson. Time for the drivers to go head-to-head. Peter Schofer rolls the car forward into that pre-stage beam and sits there, waits for Dave Wilson. Of course, these cars launch with a clutch. The revs come up. No sign of Wilson. Well, he must have been pushed back from the start line. Problem with the car, you saw Schofer ordered into the start beam, went through and takes an unopposed win. Well, that's a turn-up.
What a shame. All that effort going into getting the British car there and out with the breakage.
Well, did Eskelinen make it into this semi-final? I think the answer is going to be no. And Jarmo Roivas going to be on a bye run. Well, the engine breakages going on in this round of Top Methanol Dragster are unbelievable.
Well, the drivers, of course, are always trying their hardest, but we've got the added problem this weekend at the extra temperature. You can see it's such a hot weekend, those mechanical parts being tested to the limit.
Well, again, we're going to find out. Jarmo obviously knows he's unopposed in this race. Extra chance to relax a little bit, get everything right, get data for the computer at the end of the run. And you can see the big difference is everybody's so relaxed. The crew chief tells Jarmo how far he has to run forward to that pre-stage line. Launches the car in. Is it going to be a full quarter pass or just the 8th? Lock on the revs, out comes the clutch. The car launches all the way to the 8th mile, then out of the throttle. Well, so far, Jarmo Roivas having an easy time of it. The final for the Top Methanol funny cars. Leif Andreasen and Michael Kagerad, the old adversaries. Michael, of course, riding on the back of a win at Santa Pod in round 1, the ever-popular Quaker State Chevrolet Camaro man. A little peek inside the working environment of a Top Methanol funny car driver. That's the clutch can, that's the steering wheel, here's the roll cage. Hello, Michael. Something tells me behind those blue eyes there is a distinct killer in there somewhere. Red hot on the tree, Michael Kagerad has for many years been the man that everybody fears in the opposite lane.
And of course, Michael is one of our only professional drivers.
Well, the man who won the championship last year was this man, Leif Andreasen. Kamasa Tools Pontiac Firebird body on the car. Really does look a picture. That enormous butt catcher, the air scoop, sits on top of the fuel injectors, atop the supercharger, in turn atop the engine. And if you thought nobody did any steering in these cars, then that is what they have hold of inside that roll cage. Here we go then. This is the final. Are there going to be changes in the leadership of the championship, or is Michael Kagaran going to come out on top again?
Top Alcohol Funny Car final is again going to be very hard fought. Two competitors that are very well sponsored teams, very strong running, know this track, have both raced here for many years. Probably when they meet you see the hardest funny car races there are. Michael has got his car set up to the track. Leif has been saying they're having problems on the track. Because of that, I have to go for Michael Kagaran.
I think I'm going to stick my neck out too and say the Quaker State man is in such a rich vein of form with the top Methanol funny cars that Andreasson must be starting to feel it's a real mission for him now to get round Kagaran.
No matter what they do, no matter how much prep they put into the car. Here we go then.
Into pre-stage, both cars. Whoa, and on stage, Kagaran you saw span the tyres away from the start line and a turnover. Andreasson gets his wish, takes the win at 0.49 reaction time slower than Kagaran, and just has to drive around the Camaro to take the win.
It was really hard because it's always tough to run against Mickey, and he always pushing some pressure on us. But I'm trying to tell myself this was for the crew, and I'm trying to do my best and run on the green real hard.
Okay, let me bring Mickey in at this point. Mickey, disappointing run there?
Not so. We have had problem this weekend, and we ran the best ET this round in the final, and I'm pleased with the weekend anyway.
Well, look at the leaderboard. Andreasson breathing down Kagaran's neck now, less than 20 points in it at the top of the championship. Peter Schofer, his first final of 1999. Small block Chevrolet power, that engine cowers under an enormous supercharger. The last man, I think, in the professional categories running with those tiny front wheels. A lot of the drivers feel that the control of the car is not just so easy. And he's taken on the man who won the championship last year, and that is Jarmo Roivas. Well, Roivas, everything seemed to be going as it did in '98 for 1999, and Jarmo is just as consistent this year as he was then. Had an easy run through to the final, 2 by runs. But maybe the drivers have different thoughts on what the outcome is going to be. Let's talk to Jarmo Roivas.
I think we have too much power in Peter. I think Peter is this weekend he don't running very fast, but we'll see what happens.
Well, as I think Jarmo is aware, you ignore Peter Schofer at your peril. He's a hard competitor and has slugged it out with these bigger engine cars for a number of years now.
Jarmo Roivas, which is the Finnish favourite here, is up against Peter Schofer from Germany. They've met many times before. Peter Schofer's running very strong this weekend. Even though Jarmo's got a particularly good car, I don't think Jarmo's got the car set up quite as well as Peter. He's got the pressure of a local boy that has to win. No, he's on form. Peter Schofer will probably take the win.
You know, Paul, I don't think it's always an advantage to have everything going in your favour.
Well, absolutely, and I think what Jarmo was hinting at there was that they'd got more power and that they might overpower the track.
Always got to be the way in drag racing. Schofer will be looking to cut a really good light. Always a danger of being red light, and of course in drag racing you go before the green light and you get a red light, you are disqualified. So what's running through Jarmo's head right now is if he gets everything right with the car, he should have the win. Here we go into pre-stage, chauffeur in pre-stage, Roivas stages. Well, this is the tense moment. Chauffeur follows him in and smokes the tyres. You saw that away from the line. It was hard to tell who was away first. Roivas takes the win. And indeed, chauffeur the quicker reaction time. But that indomitable power, 5.96 seconds. A 0.5 reaction was all it took.
Very great feeling. It's a very hard trip, race. I think I smoked tires or sluts or something else problem.
And you must be feeling very disappointed.
It's okay, it's okay. It's a very good comrade.
Oh, fantastic.
It's a problem, a little problem for the clutch. In starting, it's a problem for the tire shake, a little tire shake. Little look for this car. Next run, next race.
The leaderboard, Jarmo Roivas out there ahead from Peter Beck. Peter Beck had a horrible weekend.